How can you get ahead if you don't look ahead? Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today podcast, a sports ethos presentation hosted by yours truly, Aaron Bruski and FSWA Hall of Famer Steve, Dr. A. Alexander. This is a pod-only hit, and I love it. So you guys make sure that you guys get subscribed on your favorite pod platform. Do us a favor, if you don't mind, give us a 5-star review and a review, if you don't mind. That would be great. Today, we're looking ahead at next week. We're going to talk about some streamers and some schedule action. We have been doing some shows on YouTube and on Twitter, so just make sure that you're basically subscribed and all signed up at all of the different joints. But we're doing 2 shows a day. We've got segments like this on the pod feed. We got buy low, sell high. And if it's a slow night, we're getting deep into stuff. And then we're doing live hits on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays around noon Eastern time. And then Ethos After Dark, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Doc, I'm going to bring him in here in a quick second. Let's quickly say hello to Bet Online. Bet Online is our world. It's our world. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and our number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to NBA to college basketball, NHL, UFC, and MMA. You name it, they got it. Head to BetOnline today to get on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Doc, how you doing, buddy? It's been so long since we've talked.
I'm good. How are you?
You're good. You chilling? Saturday. What you doing today after the show? At risk of alienating all of our listeners because we talked for 10 seconds. What are you doing after the show today?
I'm watching IU play Ohio State in football because it's a huge deal. And I'm in Indiana to go to the Colts game with the governor.
We should put a live camera on you and follow you around Indiana and just see how it goes. All right. We're going to talk hoops. We're going to just basically inject this into your veins from here on out the rest of the way. No fliff fluff or anything like that. Let's talk about the week ahead. I'm going to just kind of lay out what we're looking at here, and then we can kind of get into some strategy here. We've got teams with 3 games and 2 games and 18 with 4 games, but the teams with 3 games that you may or may not want to avoid a little bit: Cleveland, San Antonio, Denver, Boston, Washington, Golden State, Phoenix, Chicago, Houston, Minnesota. You could go to, a piece of paper, write that down, or just kind of remember that as we go along here. There's two teamers this week. It's Milwaukee and Philly. Probably a good thing for Philly to not play games so they can do whatever soul searching that they need to do. But the remaining 18 play 4, so kind of a busy week. We got some low traffic days, 5 or fewer games. So this is where you streamers are going to want to perk those ears up. We've got 2 low traffic day teams. That's Utah, Washington, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. And then teams that have one of these low traffic days, which of course are helpful for streaming: Dallas, Lakers, Miami, Detroit, Charlotte, Atlanta, San Antonio, Golden State, Chicago, Houston, Minnesota, Philly. We got back-to-back teams, 2 back-to-backs for Utah and Dallas, no back-to-backs for 8 teams. I'm not going to rattle them off because I don't know if that's actually helping folks, but there's it feels like in this week, making sure that you get some Utah, Washington, Milwaukee, and Phoenix going is going to be a pretty big deal. Off the top of your mind, Doc, is there anybody this week heading into, as we sit here over the weekend, heading into next week, that you've been looking at as far as an optimal streaming target or an optimal streaming team? Is there anybody that's sort of risen to that threshold so far?
No, but I think it's worth with those 2 low traffic day teams, Utah, Washington, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. I think it's worth going through each one of those rosters and talking about who might be worth picking up. Utah's got Filipowski banged up. Walker Kessler's banged up. Jordan Clarkson is sort of banged up. So maybe Cody Williams is a guy.
Whoa, Cody Williams.
Maybe Cody Williams.
Yeah, this is the show for that. I'm curious, do you think at any point in time Cody Williams is consistent for the rest of the season?
I doubt
He's
it.
getting the opportunity.
I doubt it. But then again, this is Utah, and they aren't going to be winning a championship or, going deep in the playoffs, probably getting to the playoffs. So yeah, is the chance they could, he could be a silly season hero.
Yeah, and when you get these weeks where certain streamers are available, or the schedule's leaning toward them, and you can get in there, kind of put your marker down, and then hopefully land on something that would be sustainable. His numbers are certainly struggling, that Cody Williams, but whoever it may be, if you can get a marker down, and then hopefully that whatever light bulb turns on, or it clicks in, and you get that while the going is good on the schedule side, that is always a recipe for goodness there. Jordan Clarkson will be interesting if he can stay healthy. I think he's been unrostered, dropped in a lot of formats. Colin Sexton, if you're in like a 10-team format, I think Colin Sexton has been dropped in some places, and I think he's got top 75, top 90, easily top 100 potential. So I think that he would probably be at the top of my list. I'd probably be looking at Sexton, then Clarkson, down roster. Filipowski can't play. I'm curious if Bryce Sensabaugh has anything in the tank this season. And then Collier. I don't think Collier's been good this season, but he's been getting minutes lately, and I kind of wonder if they'll maybe let him fly a little bit in Utah as the year goes on.
Didn't Sensabaugh just have a good game?
Well, it hasn't been good enough to catch my attention. I've been higher. I wasn't gonna say higher on Sensabaugh at times in the past. I think there's a player there. I don't know if, I don't think they're going to plan around him for their future, but
he had 18 points, 6 boards, a block, 4 triples last night.
He's definitely got some game. He's been on my radar in the past. In fact, it was, before Taylor Hendricks got hurt, I was really high on Hendricks. I didn't rank him highly because the numbers didn't pan out that way. But I remember thinking, Sensabaugh might actually eat into that a little bit. And that was not a reason that I didn't push in the middle a little bit more for Taylor Hendricks. But Sensabaugh's got enough game, at least that made me think about it. But yeah, no, the interesting, I think, one for me is Collier. Collier has only got 18.9 minutes per game on the season, and the numbers aren't great, but at least there's been some action in the box score with him. And if this team starts to fall apart, Keontae George, he's going to get his minutes and his shots, but I almost wonder if they'd be like, hey, if you're going to not make anything, Keontae, why don't we let Collier not make anything as well? And he might have some value down the stretch. Let's move it from Utah to, for example, let's go Washington. Is there anybody that you're looking at? Yeah, you've been on Kispert for a couple days now.
Kispert is, I just think they're Washington plays twice on low traffic days, the optimal streaming position, and Kispert generally gives you enough to make you happy that you streamed him.
Yeah,
and then
in the areas that you're looking for.
Keyshawn George. If nobody has Koulibaly in your league, Koulibaly's a guy. Bub Carrington's a guy. Alexander Sarr. But like in a 12-team league, I think Kispert's probably available.
All those names you said are great, by the way. Like if in a 10-team league, any of those guys have been dropped. If in a 12-team league, those guys have been dropped, I think they're kind of almost like run to the wire and get them players. Each of those guys that you said. Though Keyshawn has slid a little bit lately, so he's not just kind of rocking a super easy to buy equation. It used to be that he was hitting like 35% of his shots and in the top 150. And now because Kuzma's back, he slid back into the top 175 range. So that's not as doable for folks. If he's available, though, I think he profiles really well for this team down the stretch. So that would be a great stream. I would probably have all those guys that you said before Keyshawn, and then Keyshawn. And then at the very end of that, I'd say you could maybe give Kyle Kuzma a look if you want. Kuzma, top 300 guy so far this season for those who celebrate. Let's look at another team that's got some low traffic guys or day guys, Milwaukee. I think they actually got a couple good ones here. But you don't like Milwaukee. I see you shaking your head. Milwaukee, you just don't like it.
I don't know. Bobby Portis for sure. Is Gary Trent doing anything?
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds so attractive. Is Gary Trent doing anything? .com. Like the old, did Nando DiColo play today? No, he didn't. I think that, okay, Bobby Portis might be available in a lot of leagues. Like, he's been pretty bad this season. I like the Taurean Prince stream. He's been bad, but he might, kind of just be a consistent top 125 guy this season. And then also if everybody heads for the exit somehow, he might maybe even get a little bit better. I wouldn't lean into that too much, but I kind of like his position for the rest of the season. Then I'm also wondering about Green.
We had AJ Green sighting on Wednesday.
Yeah, he's averaging 2.5 threes a game.
18 points, 5 boards, a block, 2 steals.
It feels like they like him there and that they want him to be a part of the calculus. And you know what I might also look at is Delon Wright. Not that I expect him to be great, but if something falls apart for whatever reason, Giannis sits or Lillard sits or, whatever happens. Sometimes they'll just reach up and let Delon Wright get 30 minutes in a game. So just kind of keep him in the back of your mind. Don't make an early run on him or anything like that. But if he does get 25 minutes a game, he generally has a shot at a top 75 line. We got one more team that's
Wright has not scored in double digits in a single game this entire year.
And maybe not last year either. Who knows? The other team that's got 2 low traffic days, is Phoenix. And they're actually also a little low-key interesting. Like when you start talking about teams in a streaming capacity and you really start to focus on the back end of the top 150 value range, it gets a little bit more interesting for some of these teams. And I think Phoenix is one of them. Royce O'Neal would be a priority grab, considering he has standalone value. He's like a top 125 guy at least, just on an everyday basis. And he seems to be the guy they like right now. So I'd say he's a priority stream. The most annoying player in my fantasy universe right now, Grayson Allen's available. We got Delon Wright scored 18 points in 1 game last season. So there you go. Put that in your pipe, Doc. Fire it up. What are you doing with Grayson Allen, dude? I know you know that I love Grayson Allen, or loved, might be past tense. But like, do you think that, have you gotten a chance to watch him? Does he look too large to you?
He looks large, yes. And
yeah.
I don't have any Grayson Allen. And honestly, the only time I've seen the Suns play is by accident. I'm going out of my way to watch that team play, but occasionally I will watch them. Dude, I don't know what to tell people to do with Grayson Allen.
And he looks like he doesn't care.
Same thing.
He honestly looks like he doesn't care. And it's so weird because he's never been that guy. And I know he just had a kid.
With Beal and Durant both out, he should be balling.
I don't remember the 3 months after my kid was born. Like, that was just like, it's such a blur. I get it why somebody might not be able to be their best at that time, but he also gained all this weight. But when he's playing on the floor, like, he just has no interest in going to go get the ball. He has no interest in trying to like relocate to places where the ball might find its way to him. Defensively, he's kind of mixing it up a little bit, but even there, like, there's some effort stuff. And I'm just like, what the hell? what the hell, man? Or weren't you like an athletic, do everything the right way kind of a guy just last season, a top 40 fantasy play just last season? You just got paid. Did Grayson Allen take the money and go on some binge over the summer? I don't know, but get better, please. And he's got an opportunity if guys continue to stay hurt. I think he's a decent stream in the sense that if Grayson Allen hasn't changed into a schmuck and you stream him because he's got a good schedule this week, the timing's actually pretty good. If he's going to get good, it's going to happen within about 3 weeks. So you might be catching him on the upswing while everybody else had to painfully wait. Anybody else on Phoenix, sir? That's
just blowing through this roster. If Tyus Jones is available, you want him. Because some people play in 10-team leagues. Some ESPN people play in 8. But Tyus Jones, if he's available, Royce O'Neal, I'm all in on that. And these guys play on Tuesday and Saturday. And Tuesday and Saturday are the low game days. So that's when you want to use them. Grayson Allen, I think, is worth picking up. And Ryan Dunn is probably going to be a decent streamer as well.
Nice. Let's take a look at the guys or the teams that play on Tuesday. I think it's like a good strategy is like to look at Tuesday here, and then you can kind of have a good game plan for the early part of the week. The chessboard will shake up by then. And then we can look at the latter part of the week and other shows. So Chicago plays on Tuesday, Miami, Houston, Minnesota, San Antonio, LA, Lakers. We'll just kind of go down one by one. And for Chicago and the streaming kind of capacity, who there catches your eye?
Dosunmu and Jalen Smith.
Torrey Craig, I wonder if he's going to have like a 1 to 2 week explosion here where they just say, all right, we're going to put you into Pat Williams minutes. We're not going to do anything additional with Jalen Smith because either he can't handle it or he hasn't earned it in Billy Donovan's eyes. And Torrey Craig, who I've said is washed many a times. This is like the week Torrey Craig upcoming. I think it's worth a look.
Is he hurt? Oh, he's probable. He's probable tonight. Okay.
Yeah. I forget his exact stat line in the last one. Maybe that can find its way to the private chat rather than the 12-year-old humor that's going on in there right now. Come on. You guys are better than that. You know who you are. Io. He's just rock solid. Like he's going to be in there. Like he's been getting fourth quarter minutes over Josh Giddey. Is Josh Giddey a streamer? Pregnant pause. Is he a streamer? It's rough for Josh Giddey right now. He's got to get.
He's probably still rostered in most leagues.
Nobody's given up on Giddey. There's got to be some upside in there. I don't know what it's going to be, but he's got to maybe on the tanking portion of the season when they don't care about winning games, get the ball and play like 30 minutes a game, and they won't care about the defense at that point in time, at least I think. So some interesting streamers there, definitely for sure in Chicago, especially that Torrey Craig for me. Miami's had a good little streaming situation going on. You've had Duncan Robinson. I think you called that out right at the beginning of this sort of injury, whatever this version of the injury streak is for Miami. You mentioned him a couple weeks back. I think I poo-pooed it. And then Duncan Robinson's just sort of been a top 100 guy since I poo-pooed it. So you win. Jimmy Butler's back. He's, been decent. I don't know if I've got the stones to recommend Drew Smith, but he got minutes in the last one. So that's interesting. You buying into Jovic at all?
Yeah, Jovic he's a streaming option. Him and Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith, Duncan Robinson, like you said.
Highsmith, I wish he would just be a little bit better at like free throws. Because I think he's a player. I think that they love his defense. And then if something happens with like Terry Rozier, Butler, like maybe there's a path there for him. I just wish he was better at the stat side of this thing. We play for the stats and all, and I wish he was better for the stats. I don't think Drew Smith is advisable, but he at least caught my eye. What about Houston? You got any streamer action out of Houston for folks?
Well, I hope that Tari Eason's rostered everywhere, but I think he's only like 50%.
That's crazy. That tells you 50% of leagues are not good at this.
Jabari Smith may be available in your league after his slow start. He would be a fantastic streamer. Other than that, man, I'm in.
Team is.
Yeah,
they're very defined. Like, and the guys that are sort of like in the back end of rankings for whatever reason, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, they're super buzzy and super springy, and they are on highlight reels all the time. And especially in the case of Amen Thompson, like you don't want to ever drop him because he might have 5 steals next game, and a whole bunch of other goodies as well. So not exactly available, except for Tari Eason in 50% of leagues. And go figure, he's almost their best fantasy play this season, almost just a few slots behind Alperen Şengün. Let's check out Minnesota. Streamer action. I hate to say it, but Dante DiVincenzo might be available in your league, and he might be the perfect streamer for you. He's missed a lot of shots, and he's about to make them again at some point, right? Question mark?
Yeah.
Naz Reid dinged up. That might percolate and develop. And then I don't think that creates a big opening for Luka Garza. If I was in a super deep league and Naz Reid's not on the court, I'm somewhat interested, at least, in Luka Garza. Maybe as a shot in the dark. Maybe as like as a show-off move if you want to beat your buddy and do it with a completely obscure name that hasn't produced at all this season. Luka Garza might be the play there. Anybody else? Like Jaden McDaniels, if he's available, you got to kind of almost like jump over some furniture.
Jaden McDaniels would be my first choice. DiVincenzo would be second. Naz Reid actually would be, if he's playing and Naz Reid's available, he's probably number one. Then Jaden McDaniels, then Dante. As far as streamers go. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker seems to keep being relevant for this team.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and especially in a more in a deeper or more competitive league, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker, with some of the stuff that's going on with Mike Conley, and even if Naz Reid goes out there is a need for more offense, which apparently seems to be Alexander Walker's focus. It feels like when he's on the floor, he really wants to get those shots up. Let's see here. We got San Antonio and the Lakers. And then it looks like a bunch of chatter in the chat that doesn't matter here. San Antonio wise, like streamer land. I will not call Julian Champagnie a streamer. I think he should just be flat out rostered, but maybe in shallow formats. He's about a 120 in 9 cat leagues. So in shallow formats, I think that's a go get him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's playing well. He's been good. He does a lot of good stuff, good fantasy goodies. I like him. I think Harry Barnes is worth streaming. Maybe Malachi Branham, maybe Kelton Johnson would be a streamer.
Kelton got up and yammed on somebody. That's not that surprising. He does that quite a bit, but he's got a lot of spring. I think anytime that if Wemby's out or if they got players out, I think they'd love to go to Kelton and say, "Hey, Kelton, this is your game. Go out there and get it." Stephen Castle, I think he's been buzzy lately. I don't know if he's available. I'd be interested to see his Castle more rostered than Tari Eason. That's I bet he is. I bet Stephen Castle's more rostered than Tari Eason in whatever format you were looking at there. Collins has been going good. If Wemby's for whatever reason not playing, that's always a question mark, especially since he just dinged that knee up. Barnes, I think you've got a great shot at getting a guy like Harrison Barnes almost at any point in time this season if you need to stream out of San Antonio. On the Lakers, side.
You forgot Charles Bassey if you need a big man in a deep
Ah,
league.
kick their ass, Seabass. How could I forget Charles Bassey? He's always been one of my favorite pickups. He's been rolling with Wemby out last week. So that part, if Wemby's out, I think Bassey's like a kind of a must play, but only if Wemby's out.
He'd be a great streamer if Wemby's out.
Yeah, like somebody that's probably going to be easy to grab. And I think you're almost sure you're going to get results in the top 100 range when he's on the floor and getting those kinds of minutes. Now to the Lakers.
Yahoo leagues. Castle's 21% rostered. Tar Eason's 54.
Okay. Shout out Yahoo League players for getting that one right. The other 46% of you, though, or whatever that number was, that don't have Eason on a roster, you guys shall be banned from everything. Now to the Lakers, where we can just finally talk about Cam Reddish. We've been waiting all day to talk about Cam Reddish as a streamer. Now, I would rather talk about Rui Hachimura. And I don't know if you got anybody else on your list, but Rui's been an interesting one. He had that really fast start. I think he's got decent name value, plays well in the playoffs, kind of a deal. Has always been disappointing in fantasy leagues, but kind of started clicking a little bit this season. And then now dealing with some injury stuff as well. But, feels like he'll be back on the floor fairly soon. He's been a top 120 guy on the season. Do you think like a preemptive grab of Rui over the weekend when it makes sense for your roster just to get ahead of the Tuesday action, you think that might be a higher priority streamer than some of the names that we've said here today?
I don't know. I don't. Has Dalton Connect ruined Rui Hachimura? I don't know. By the way, Dalton Connect 51% rostered in Yahoo. 51.
It just goes to show you how many people like draft and then just like don't make it past week 3.
Yeah. Dalton Connect, Rui Hachimura. I mean, is he healthy?
That's a key question.
That's my big question. And
well, I think the Connect question is the big one too.
And he started off kind of hot to begin the season, and then it just sort of turned into nothing. And here comes Dalton Connect. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting question. Connect, is he going to have that impact on Rui? Hell, we were talking the other day. Is he going to have that impact on Austin Reeves? Reeves has slid to top 90 on the basis of some of the slippage that we've seen in the last couple games. His free throws down. His field goal percentage is not as good as it could be. And you're starting to see erosion in some of these numbers. I think it's a great time to go buy low on Austin Reeves. But like Dalton Connect, might take what I had as a top 40 guy and it might move him down to top 60. And he's currently top 90. Probably going to play his fair share of games this season, Austin Reeves. So that's a little bit of my thinking in terms of where I value guys. All my ranks are cumulative, of course. But Rui Hachimura, in terms of a stream, I think he's an interesting one because top 120, that's pretty good, for a stream. Like when we're streaming, we're usually looking at 150, 160, 170 type players. And when you get a 120, as far as his season-long number, you're almost saying, hey, go get him and just kind of hang on to him. But it depends on what plays in your league. Well, if only top 75 plays in your league.
He's rostered in 45% of leagues. That surprises me.
Yeah, I think the start, I don't think people bought it early on until it got really good. And then the injuries started coming. And there just wasn't enough momentum there to kind of get him up and over the hump. But a lot of 10-team leagues out there as well.
I'm surprised he's owned by that many. I thought it would be like 25% since he's been hurt. But.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I would think maybe the folks that grabbed him just didn't drop him. They were just hanging on to Rui Hachimura. What else do we got here as far as streamers or even just planning for the upcoming week? Is there anything else that you can think of on the radar? I mean, we got a lot of 4-game weeks or 4-game teams. So I think you need to be super conscious of games played in a week like this, and maybe fade some injury guys and make sure that you got warm bodies in your roster. Cause there's gonna be a lot of your opponents are gonna have a lot of games on the board. End of week games. We've got some teams that just play 1 game, and 20 teams play 2 games at the end of this week. So to the point of that, you need people in roster or healthy bodies in roster spots. I think that's especially true this week.
If things haven't been bad enough for Philadelphia, for Joel Embiid, Paul George managers, now they have a 2-game week. And it's just like,
I'm happy about that. In the spots that I picked a Joel Embiid up, I'm happy about that. Let this guy get his conditioning back. Let everybody get their minds right. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong. A 2-game week, it's terrible.
And then Giannis and Dame only played 2 times this week. So if you got Giannis and Dame, you might be in for a rough ride, and you should really be streaming on Tuesday and Saturday.
I'm pretty sure our friend Keith Pompey wrote a story that was like, that if Philly wants to get out of the tank, they could do it the way that the other team that was terrible to start the season did it, and that was Milwaukee. And both of them have 2 games this week to sit in their locker rooms and stew about their records. But at least Milwaukee's been winning lately. Philly is just crapping up the joint and fighting probably internally, and who knows what's happening there. But I think that's going to do it. A nice little tidy weekend update of sorts to get your streaming action ready for the upcoming week. And let us know how we're doing. Drop us a line on Twitter. Shoot us an email, support@sportsethos.com. If you have any feedback, we just love the feedback. It helps us build out this show the way that you guys want it. So definitely let us know if there's any features or ideas that you would like to communicate so we can put them into shows or even the content platform here at large. Go subscribe to this pod on your podcast player of choice. That will make sure that you get each and every one of these episodes we aren't putting out on the live feeds as well. So that's going to do it for us today. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by Bet Online, a Sports Ethos presentation. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be well.